Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for
Hi.
joining us this morning. Yes, glad you can hear me. That's good news. We'll wait just a moment, let people pop in here. Well, terrific. I'm going to go ahead and get started because I have a lot I want to talk with you about today. So, welcome. My name is Dr. Malcolm Keif. I am a professor of practice in the print and graphic media programs at RIT. Today, we're going to discuss the technical details that matter in print and graphic media, or how to do graphics right. The technical details of graphics are actually quite complex, and I'm going to cover a lot in the next hour. I'm going to give you a link at the end of the session, so if you wish to download the presentation, you certainly can. But for now, let's buckle our seatbelts and let's get going. So have you ever looked at an advertisement, a sign, or a splash screen and thought to yourself, something doesn't look right? Somebody goofed up. It just doesn't look pleasing. Or have you ever had someone provide you a logo and you thought, why is it so pixelated? This can't work. To many, graphic production is only about making something look pleasing. Aesthetics are surely a huge part of the graphic media world, but there's much more to making print and graphic media impactful, generating the desired outcome. At RIT and in the professional graphic media industry, we must do graphics right. So let's dive into the fascinating world of print and graphic media to learn the technical details that matter in graphics. Graphics professionals work with many people. We get images and logos from customers, and we produce finished files or printed output. We work with a larger scope of brand and marketing professionals. Stakeholders may include photographers, computer programmers, illustrators, or graphic installers. We're part of a system of professionals who use print and graphic media to inform, influence, and delight our customers. Every print and graphic media project must focus on relevance, knowing your audience and your application, insight, letting data inform your designs and processes, graphics, making compelling and functional graphic files, hue, managing colors and images, and then technology, the streamlining our creative and production processes with workflow automation. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But before I jump into that, what do you think? I'm going to throw a little poll up here. And if you don't mind, would you go ahead and answer this question as best you can? Which of the following was the top advertising spender in 2021? Amazon, AT&T, Coke, Comcast, or Procter & Gamble? Who do you think was the top advertiser in 2021? And 2021 is the latest statistics I have. So, and they do change a little bit. So if you guessed one and it wasn't right for 2021, it may have been right for a different year. So I'll give it another couple of moments. Go ahead and cast your ballot if you haven't already. All right. So the correct answer, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll now and show you the results. This is what you guessed. The correct answer is, in fact, Amazon. And it's not probably what you think. Procter & Gamble was a close second, and sometimes Procter & Gamble is a bigger advertiser than Amazon. Procter & Gamble is a large product supply company, which with many, many different products that you're familiar with. But Amazon, a lot of their advertisement was related to the Amazon Web Services. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our first of our acronym, relevance. The dynamic world of print and graphic media works closely with marketing and branding. In small companies, a single individual may perform multiple functions. In large companies, several graphic professionals may comprise a separate production department, or an ad agency may be employed as a strategy to maximize advertising and branding investment. Regardless of the size of a brand, No print and graphic media project is thoughtfully produced without knowing the context of the business, the customer, the application, and output goals. We have to know relevance. Let's start with the audience. Who exactly is the project intended for? What is the desired outcome or the call to action? Print and graphic media professionals always start with a deep understanding of their audience and the desired outcome. We accomplish this by using structured marketing research tools, which help us know more about the intended audience. Market research takes many forms, but nearly always addresses audience demographics and interests. We'll learn in the next section about insights and how we can use data analytics and customer data to find out the purchasing behavior of existing customers as well as target customers. Market research informs us how to best prepare graphics for specific demographics. We often create user personas to help us better understand, empathize, and relate to users. This is particularly true when we have different types of users or buyers. Professional designers understand their audience. They create images, typography, color selections, and an overall look and feel that addresses the interests and demographics of these personas. We also use personas to ensure we are practicing inclusive design. We want to make graphic assets that address both our current customer profiles and any underrepresented users who represent our future customers. In multi-touch campaigns, where various marketing strategies are used to engage users over a span of time, customer journey maps are produced. This helps us inform how we market to users at different stages of brand loyalty. Some customers love our brand, while others are just getting familiar with it. We advertise differently in different stages of the journey, moving our customers down the map to advocacy. As we develop graphic-centered products, we want to consider a user's experience. In the digital world, user experience, or UX, addresses how a user interacts with our website or app. How easy is it to find what we're looking for? Does the information architecture correspond with our users' mental models? How many clicks does it take to locate specific information? Using a digital cutting table, we can create a package prototype to test how well a substrate works for folding, carrying, and protecting a product. We can print a digital test print to see if the typography on a vehicle wrap is legible from a particular distance. We can proof a brand color to see how close it matches Coke Red. Before embarking on any graphic production process, designers take a deep dive into understanding the needs and desires of their target market and conduct user testing to research how to best optimize user experience. There's one additional part of relevance, and that is knowing the output or application. What are we making? We may be making something physical like a carton, a window cling, a pool liner, a vehicle wrap, or a logo on a hockey rink. Or it may be digital like a video game, app graphics, or professional football website. In many cases, the graphic assets we make are used in cross-media applications. Professionals research the application or potential applications for their output. They think about cross-media and scale. Do I open Photoshop, Illustrator, Figma, Canva? It's not only which software you like best, it's about which software gives you the best opportunity to create the optimized output for one or more graphic applications. One must know something as simple as what the aspect ratio is for the desired graphic. You're probably familiar with the terms landscape and portrait. We've seen a big shift in video production from landscape graphics to portrait graphics with increased popularity of mobile applications. Now we're also seeing more use of square graphics on social media applications. Are you familiar with the term bleed? This term is used when referring to print documents where the ink is intended to go all the way to the edge of a page or carton die line. For print documents, we must design the graphics to go beyond the ultimate edge of the piece, usually extending a 1/16 of an inch outside the crop marks in the file. This simple business card bleeds on 3 sides. One of the biggest considerations for graphic production is understanding the impact of resolution for print versus digital, and number two, for scaling for different sized applications. When designers produce identity packages, they know their output options may be vast, and they often create logo variations in a few different forms, such as black and white, reversed, stacked, vector for print, and raster for web. They typically include various file formats too, including vector formats, which easily scale to any size without pixelization, and raster formats for digital applications. JPEG and PNG files are raster, while SVG and PDF files contain vector versions of the logo. When making a social media graphics for Instagram, the graphic professional knows to make the resolution 1080 by 1080 and save the file as a PNG file, a format we rarely use in print production. This file correctly saved as an RGB raster file optimized for screens. That's the appropriate way to produce the graphic for this application. If I take the same file and try to repurpose it for a bus wrap, it will fail. Graphic media professionals always consider the purpose of a design and potential future applications before starting their project. Relevance, understanding the audience, the user experience, and the application is the first step in doing graphics right. Now, before we go on, let's see what you think. I have another little survey here. I'm going to launch. And you should see here, according to Statista Consumer Insights, which social media platform had the highest percentage of their users in the 19 to 29 age category. 19 to 29 age. Highest percentage. I mean, this is the highest percentage, not highest number of users, highest percentage. In the 19 to 29 age category. All right, give you another moment or two. See if you can guess this one right. Is the highest percentage of users. All right, this is what you said. Instagram. It turns out the highest percentage of users is, in fact, Snapchat, with 41% of their users were 18 to 29-year-olds. Sorry, 19 to 29-year-olds. All right, so that's good, clean fun there. Let's go ahead and move on to insight. The second phase of doing graphics right is insight. Like relevance, here we focus on acquiring data to inform and possibly integrate into graphic production. Data is an essential part of print and graphic media. We use data for research, for segmenting and personalizing, for measurement and controlling outputs, and for reporting marketing analytics. How do we acquire data and use data in print and graphic media? Research helps us discover such things as customers' average age and income level. Companies use sophisticated customer relationship management, or CRM tools, like Salesforce or HubSpot, to track engagement and buying activity. We can also use CRMs to track where a customer is in their customer journey. Data analytics helps us gain insight in a much more elaborate way. With social media, apps, and websites, tracking user behavior provides a wealth of information about acquisition, engagement, improving marketing approaches. Even physical graphics like packaging and direct mail can use analytics, with QR codes, augmented reality, and other tools becoming more commonplace. In mailing, informed visibility allows marketers to know when a mail piece arrives in a customer's mailbox, making it easier to integrate with cross-media marketing strategies. Third-party cookies, yes, they're staying, help inform us about users' online experience and how they interact with our site. We use analytics to look at data in aggregate form, identifying user segments. Segmentation is useful because we can tailor graphics and design elements to the user personas. In fact, the insights collected here actually inform our personas back in the relevance section. We also look at design trends to gain insights in graphic media. Many sites track and publish design trends. Good designers and photographers always stay current on modern design trends. Color trends, as published by Pantone, Adobe, and others, may give us insight into popular color palettes as well. And speaking of Adobe, software companies offer templates for inspiration. Generative AI tools like Midjourney, DALL-E, Imagine, and Firefly can also help with inspiration, though ethics questions are still being debated about the use of AI in graphic production. We can also test our designs to gain insight. A/B testing is a common UX research approach, where we send different ads to a sampling of our population to see which ad performs better. This research tool gives us insight into how our designs perform in terms of completing a call to action. We may use different colors or type or text narratives to test the effectiveness of designs and messaging. Data-driven graphics helps us to be more targeted in our messaging. We are seeking a call to action, and the more we make our graphics relatable to our audience, the more likely we can achieve our objective. VDP, or variable data publishing, is used to create graphics using conditional rules-based logic. It can be for segmentation or personalization. In print and graphic media, we've been using this strategy for many years in the direct mail world. However, it has become much more widely used over the last decade to include email marketing, personalized landing pages, retargeting with personalized brochures, and even personalized video. Data is derived from user interaction, and user interaction produces data. A primary function of modern graphic media is to engage users and promote interaction. We focus on identifying our call to action and ensuring we have ways to gain data insights as a result of engagement. We can also use data to create graphics, often in the form of graphs and plots and charts. You may see this in your utility statement, where your energy consumption is compared to other homes or apartments in your neighborhood. We call this data visualization, and we use special tools like Tableau or Power BI to create these data-driven graphics. Finally, data is critical for ensuring quality print and graphic media production. We use instruments, particularly in print and packaging manufacturing, to measure output variables. The professional ensures quality by measuring ink density, ink registration, abrasion resistance of inks and coatings, and numerous other quality control standards. Data insights form the foundation of print and graphic media production. Now, before we go on to insights, let's see what you think about this. All right, I presume you can see this. According to Conviva, which of the following customer profiling data did companies use most? Oh, I think I'm still sharing the other one. That's what happened, isn't it? Hang on a second here. Let's see if I got this right. Why is this not working? All right, something's different than before. I guess it's showing there. You let me know if it's not. But according to Conviva, which of the following customer profiling data did customers use most for personalized advertising in 2023? Are you able to see that or not? It's not showing properly on my screen differently. All right, hang on a second. I think, I see what I did wrong. All right, thank you for your patience. Here we go. Now I'm going to launch this one. Now it should show you. All right, according to Conviva, which of the following customer profiling data did companies use most for personalized advertising in 2023? Behavioral data, which is like previously captured data, contextual data, in the moment information of customer information with the company, demographic data, age, income, what's called firmographics, which is size and location of industry, or lifestyle, attitude, choices, habits. Give you just a moment. And y'all are good at this one. Yeah, so good job, everybody. It's true that the number one type of data that was used for advertising in 2023, in fact, was, now I'll share the result. It was what most of you got, which is the demographic data. 86% of data that was used, excuse me, 86% of the companies use demographic data most. All right, good. So we've made it through. Let's see, I need to go back here. Yep. All right, so we've made it through, and we're on to graphics, which is probably the most important part. And the reason you're here today is you want to learn about graphics. So now let's get into the part that is maybe most of interest to you. How do professionals make graphic media? Now that we understand the relevance and the insight, what are the technical details that matter? And how do we make compelling and functional files? Print and graphic media professionals are different than traditional graphic designers. Print and graphic media professionals must know fundamentals that help ensure compelling imagery and typography. They must take creative ideas and produce designs that work properly for specific applications. There are numerous design frameworks, including design thinking, an iterative human-centered process focused on better understanding users. CRAP, a well-known set of 4 design principles: contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity, introduced by Robin Williams in her book, The Non-Designer's Design Book. And Gestalt principles, which help us learn about perceptual organization. All of these frameworks are tools that help us improve our design skills. They help us to empathize with users' needs and organize and lay out pages to improve comprehension and aesthetic appeal. Effective designers also study universal and accessible design principles to ensure they adopt the broader goal of designing for diverse users and persons with vision impairments. But what really distinguishes print and graphic media professionals from traditional graphic designers is their focus on technical details. They often use automated production tools that not only achieve the marketing objectives, but do so efficiently and accurately for the application. Let's start with some basics that improve all designs: grids and styles. Grids bring visual structure to our designs. They're the best way to lay out graphic content in a way that is visually balanced, aligned, and internally consistent. Professionals start their designs by creating a grid structure before anything else is produced. Grid systems provide a structural framework for organizing and aligning elements on a page or screen. Popular examples include the 960 grid system for websites, the golden ratio for design elements, and modular grid systems for pages considering both columns and rows, as shown here in this 5-column grid. Grids promote consistency, hierarchy, and visual rhythm, and become the basis for parent pages or templates. Grids focus on visual rhythm, while styles apply uniformity to type and object structures. Paragraph styles, character styles, object styles, and table styles all help to create element groupings. These groupings or styles ensure that everything assigned a style name has the same visual attributes. We know instinctively that text frequently has innate structure built in. We have titles, headings, subheads, and body text. We use styles to tag sentences to ensure all type attributes are the same. This makes everything consistent and speeds up editing style changes. Paragraph styles have workflow automation implications too. We can export styles and even embed XML tags associated with the paragraph styles. Print and graphic media professionals create attractive designs, and they do so using grids and styles to ensure uniformity and improve workflow. Let's dive in deeper to some technical details that matter in print and graphic media. First, what software do we use? Most graphic professionals use Adobe Creative Suite software: Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and Express at a minimum. Other specialized tools like Figma, Sketch, Tableau, Artios CAD, and numerous others may be used for unique purposes. Some of the decisions are based on preference or cost, but one important aspect is making sure you know what type of file or format is produced. You may already know the difference between raster and vector, but if you don't, it can easily be summarized in the following way. Vector graphics store mathematical descriptions of paths and are completely scalable. Raster graphics map points on a grid of defined resolution. Once created, raster images cannot be scaled larger. Vector files are used for logos and illustrations, and raster files are used for images, such as photographs. Photoshop is a raster program, and Illustrator is a vector program. At RIT, you'll learn more about which software to use for which application. We already discussed bleeds in print documents, but I listed it here again to emphasize that it's a common rookie mistake for novice graphic professionals. We also briefly discussed resolution, but I'd like to address that topic further. When we talk about resolution, we're talking about fineness of detail, or how fine the grid is when mapping points in a raster image. A camera or phone captures a photo at a particular resolution, depending on the settings. If you open Photoshop and start drawing, you're creating a design at a specific resolution. We care about resolution throughout the life of the file. With images, we refer to resolution in PPI, or pixels per inch. We can always downsample resolution, but we can't upsample resolution, at least not without a little AI help. Once an image has been downsampled below 300 PPI at the scaled size, it is forever limited to online media. Now, why do I say that? With printers, we refer to the resolution as DPI, or dots per inch. A typical home inkjet printer may be 600 DPI. That means it will print at 1/600th of an inch level of fineness. To the human eye, we don't see those dots independent of other dots, but rather as a grouping. In contrast, typical computer monitors display between 900 to 100 PPI, with some smartphones being higher than that. Once we have downsampled a graphic, it will likely look pixelated if printed. How does resolution impact a 1080 by 1080 Instagram ad? On a computer monitor at 100 PPI, we have enough resolution to display it quite nicely, if desired, larger than 10 inches by 10 inches. But on the inkjet printer at 600 DPI, it will be limited to smaller than 2 inches by 2 inches. We need more resolution with print than digital graphics. Now, to add to the confusion, the higher print resolution is used to create printed dots of varying sizes in only a few colors, often just the 4 cyan, magenta, yellow, and black colors. These dots are called halftone dots. We need images of 300 PPI at the scaled size in order to print a 150 LPI screened image based on the Nyquist rule. LPI stands for lines per inch and is a secondary grid pattern used in printing. When we refer to a printer's DPI resolution, we're talking about the size of the droplets of the ink from an inkjet printer or the spots produced by a laser printer. These spots are grouped together to form halftone dot screening. Halftone dots vary in size to form different tones by visually blending the different sized dots with the white paper background. Our eyes see tonality or different shades. Okay, so you've paid attention and have created a document considering bleeds and resolution. You're ready to save the file. But how? JPEG, PNG, SVG? File formats are important and necessary for optimizing file size, dealing with transparency, and ensuring quality output. Further, if we've created graphic assets for multiple applications, we may need to consider keeping a parent file in a digital asset management repository. Some file formats like JPEG, PNG, TIFF, and PSD are specific to raster images. SVG, EPS, and AI are mostly focused on vector images. PDF, InDesign files, and others may contain a combination of graphic formats. Some formats also work with different color modes, whether RGB, CMYK, grayscale, spot colors, or expanded gamut. Another detail that matters when sharing graphic files, particularly InDesign and Illustrator files, involves linking assets. If you've ever opened a file and it says one or more images are missing, you know what I'm talking about. Frequently, imported images are linked instead of embedded to minimize the file size and improve graphic workflows. Linked images are easier to edit and update. However, they become a resource that must be included when passing off to other members in a team. Packaging a file is a common way to collect all resources for transport. Like linked images, font management is a critical skill for print and graphic media professionals. Missing fonts have long been a challenge. Adobe's recent change in font handling and discontinuing Type 1 font support has both improved and complicated font management. Adobe fonts, when properly licensed, are easier to work with inside Adobe applications, except when editing PDF files in Acrobat. However, outside most Adobe applications, it has become less intuitive. And unfortunately, non-Adobe fonts require a bit more skill, with some choosing to use independent font management tools. You may already know the difference between RGB and CMYK. RGB, or red, green, blue, is the preferred color mode for screen-based graphics. CMYK, or cyan, magenta, yellow, black, and yes, the K is for black, refers to the subtractive color primaries and ink colors we use in color printing. When you create a new document in Photoshop or Illustrator, you should select the correct color mode to ensure you will achieve the desired outcome. When you save a document, the file format you choose will impact the color mode too. Selecting incorrectly will give you undesired results, like the 4-color black type shown in this image. Before we move on to hue, let's take another quick survey. Tell me what you think. On this survey, according to a 2017 survey by GWG, which of the following was the most common error found in PDF files submitted to production printers? Bleeds, color space, font, resolution, or transparency of images? All right, y'all are both paying attention and you're smart as can be. All right, good job. I'm going to share with you the results, and you are correct. Resolution, too low a resolution was a most common problem with files submitted. You know about that because that happens a lot, doesn't it? All right, so let's move on to the H in doing graphics, right? Which is for hue, managing colors. Hue is one dimension of describing color. Color is critical for communicating meaning and evoking emotion. It also helps us in understanding. Think of a stoplight. While the position of the 3 lights is important, the color of lights probably has a greater influence on your reactions when approaching an intersection. Of course, for people with color viewing deficiency, light position displays a critical role too. In graphics, since we rely heavily on different output media, we must focus on how to best describe and control color. We broadly call these topics color management. How does the print and graphic media professional address color management? We previously discussed a bit about branding. Branding is the process of creating a unique identity and image for a product, service, or company with marketing efforts that shape perceptions, recognition, and loyalty. Logos, typography, colors, and messaging are all key elements of branding. Usage of all brand assets are clearly articulated in a company's brand guidelines. Even RIT has a brand guide. When you think about Coke, what comes to mind? I think of a few things. That Coke red color, the iconic script type, the Coke swoosh, messaging like it's the real thing. Coca-Cola is a great example where brand color is iconic. Most people can picture what I mean when I say Coke red. Can you select Coke Red from this grouping of swatches? Well, there it is. Did you guess it right? What exactly is Coke Red? Well, first, it's a secret. But second, it's widely printed around the world by many different packaging companies. So while Coca-Cola does not make their color standards public, the red color is often referenced online as the hex value, F40009, RGB value, 24409, CMYK 41950. However, none of these specifically describe the spectral reflectance curve of Coke Red, but we'll get to that in a moment. How does Coke ensure that all different companies match the same color red when printed? Printing a red color can be achieved in a few ways. Printers can start with a pre-mixed red ink called a spot color. Pantone colors are spot colors when pre-mixed from Pantone base inks. Second, printers can try to produce a match using magenta, yellow, and a little cyan from their CMYK printing inks. Not all Pantone colors can be matched with CMYK, though. Printers may try the newer 7-color expanded gamut printing inks. All of these approaches are used by many companies, but the most common approach for Coke packaging is to use a pre-mixed spot color. Assuming a good ink match, this is the easiest and most reliable way to achieve consistent color. Let's learn a bit more from Coke's YouTube channel by listening to Ted Ryan, Coke's historian. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this.
Welcome to the Coca-Cola Archives. As the Coke historian, one of the questions I'm most often asked is, why did Coke adopt red as its color? And it's a really interesting story. It goes all the way back to the beginnings because Frank Robinson, who developed the beautiful script logo, he liked the red and the white as a contrast. And so our very first ads were red. Red is Coca-Cola. Coke actually had standardization manuals. In those manuals are paint specifications, which will give you the different Coca-Cola colors. You could compare it to the other reds to make sure that your red is the Coca-Cola red. It wasn't just a standardized color, it was having a standard look and feel. Coke was one of the first brands to clearly develop its own visual identity system. We still do it today, which is part of the reason why the design team are down here so much.
So color standards are essential for distributed manufacturing when printing is conducted at multiple sites in multiple locations and countries, such as Coke packaging. Brand colors, whether spot colors or screen builds from CMYK, should be specified using colorimetric or spectral data, and the printer must measure to ensure a color match within a reasonable level of tolerance. In most cases, colors are spec'd in what's called the C-Lab color space. Spot colors may include spectral data too in a CXF file. A tolerance is also specified, such as 3.0 delta E 2000, indicating the allowable variation. What does all this mean? It provides a production standard that helps Coke ensure their brand colors will be produced accurately, looking the same all around the world. Spectrophotometers help us calibrate monitors and measure printed samples during manufacturing. Using the revised delta E formula published in 2000, called delta E 2000, we can measure how close our color match is and how much deviation occurs while printing. Because we always have some variation in printing, we're looking for a reasonable tolerance, typically between 2 and 5 delta E 2000. We call this process control, and it is essential in printing. Photographs are equally important in color control. The best photography in the world is unimpactful when poorly reproduced. We know how to measure a spot color, but how do we measure and control photographs? In printing, we use either CMYK or an expanded gamut ink set to print a color photograph. But even with the same inks, the paper impacts many optical properties of the output. Uncoated papers absorb ink more than coated papers, resulting in lower saturation. Papers with optical brighteners influence color reproduction as well. We know that some printing conditions provide brighter, more saturated results. For this reason, the profession has defined 7 characterized reference printing conditions, or CRPCs, to help quantify the color gamut of printed output, factoring in substrate and printing variables. If we know which CRPC we are targeting, as determined by substrate and printing process, we have a better chance of predicting the output of photographs. The color gamut of the printing condition plays a large role in the visual outcome. In addition to managing the color gamut, one essential aspect of controlling CMYK printing is to control gray balance through near neutral calibration. In theory, we can make gray overlapping 50% cyan, 50% magenta, and 50% yellow. But in practice, neutral gray is better achieved with 50% cyan, 40% magenta, and 40% yellow when CMYK inks are made to the correct ISO ink specifications. This principle of focusing on neutral gray is part of the process known as G7. Gray balance dramatically improves color printing, but we may also wish to fine-tune images by characterizing different input and output devices using ICC profiles, small files that help with minor color transforms for different inputs and outputs. All photographs have embedded ICC input profiles related to the camera or phone used. Output profiles can be assigned when proofing or printing. It's time for another survey. Let's launch this one. Color vision deficiency, or CVD, also referred to as color blindness, impacts 8% of men and 5% of women. Sorry, I left the D out there. I need to fix that. Which 2 colors are most common deficient due to missing cones in the eye? Why don't you go ahead and take a guess at this one? Many of you already know the answer to this, which is great. All right, great. So let me share the results here. Very good. It is true that red-green is the most common color vision deficiency. All right, terrific. So we're on to our last letter in our acronym here. The final letter is T, technology. Print and graphic media professionals are technologists. It's one of the key elements that differentiates our field from other graphic design and new media studies. We've already discussed some of the technologies and instruments we use to produce and control graphic media. Now let's focus on a few other ways we use technology. Creatives use a variety of collaborative tools to help brainstorm, research, and focus their ideas. Digital mood boards and concept boards are essential for collaborating with fellow creatives. These tools can also help to gain early feedback from customers, providing a sense of design direction. Research is fundamental to good design and becomes the basis of a design brief. A design brief informs creatives on the direction for building final design files. Design is usually iterative, starting with a wireframe or low-fidelity designs and progressing to high-fidelity final files. This structured approach relies on technology to make meaningful prototypes, ensuring quality UX research and customer feedback. During inspiration and ideation, designers review others' works, reference Adobe stock templates, Adobe Express templates, or use generative AI to ideate and explore. Gen AI is surely going to impact both the creative side and the production side of print and graphic media. At RIT, we embrace these changes and focus both on the disruptions and on the possibilities. Technology is also fundamental in production. At the core, we are makers. Print and graphic media professionals make things that are reproduced over and over. We make graphics that show up on packages, computer monitors, mobile phones, brochures, bus wraps, and hundreds of other applications. Technology impacts our approach and our results. Screen-based graphics are frequently dynamic and data-driven. Often they are interactive too, allowing the user to control inputs which impacts what is displayed. Something as simple as a button on a website typically has two states, a selected state and an unselected state. Content management systems, or CMS systems, drive most modern websites, whether WordPress, Joomla, Squarespace, Wix, or a different CMS. Print and graphic media professionals must feel comfortable with CMS tools to work with the millions of sites employing these technologies. Understanding HTML, XHTML, CSS, JavaScript, and other graphic scripting and programming languages is helpful to the professional. Adobe Express Content Scheduler or other scheduling software help the graphic media professional with planning and delivering social media content. Printing technology is even more complex, with more variables to understand and manage. Conventional printing, like offset lithography, flexography, screen printing, and gravure, each have unique printing characteristics. Graphic media professionals study these characteristics and use technology to transform files to optimize and match designs across technologies. Something as simple as a gradation or vignette can look drastically different in offset lithography compared to flexography. Technology solutions improve these matches across platforms. Further, digital proofing solutions leverage profiling technologies to simulate analog print production on a digital proofer. Conventional printing uses printing plates. These intermediaries, containing a static design, are used to transfer ink from the plate to the substrate, whether paper, plastic, metal, or fabric. Controlling plate production is as important as controlling the printing itself. Plate making and printing equipment are very sophisticated and can easily run into the millions of dollars. This press here is in one of our labs, and this was a project that some students were running. Digital printing, predominantly comprised of inkjet and toner machines, is a plateless printing method. That means designs do not have to be static. VDP, whether for segmentation or personalization, leverage this plateless technology to create custom graphics for individuals. It's one of the key benefits of digital printing. These last two videos are printing devices we have in our department at RIT for instruction and student use. Even converting and distribution, as well as graphic installation, in the case of sign graphics, uses advanced technology. Transforming a printed sheet of paper into a carton requires expensive die cutting equipment. Decorating using gold foil or a textured emboss is also very specialized. The print and graphic media student must be comfortable with design software and machine operation to fully understand the dynamic environment in which professionals work. Before we conclude our time today, I want to emphasize that everything we have discussed today is normally done in scale. Once design files are finalized, we deliver our work to hundreds, thousands, or even millions of people. And in many cases, we use data to customize each and every design. Think of the implications of that statement. How can we possibly make every design unique? How can we mass produce graphics quickly and accurately, minimizing mistakes along the way? Workflow automation is the secret to successful graphic media production. As makers, we have tools and we have processes, but makers must learn to scale their tools and processes. Print and graphic media is no different. Workflow automation software helps us to drive print production by linking together tasks in a digital environment to produce work more quickly and accurately using smart technologies. Workflow automation software can provide digital asset management, smart naming conventions, smart file locating, applying screens, trapping, control marks, and handling color management, all processing through printing workflows. But what about automation in a non-print environment? Marketing automation platforms also employ technologies to speed and control workflow for digital media. Using analytics associated with user interaction in emails, social media, QR codes, and personalized landing pages, Triggered actions like follow-up emails or ad retargeting can be employed. And these marketing strategies can even integrate print marketing components with the appropriate APIs. The print and graphic media professional is truly a graphic workflow technologist. The secret is to know your output. Graphic media professionals have to be skilled in multiple environments. And output always has some limitation. Screens can't easily integrate smells or tactile coatings. Print can't easily integrate video or interactivity. Colors on a monitor always look more vibrant than colors in print. Outputs always have limitations, and becoming an expert on the characteristics of graphics for different media is essential. Print and graphic media professionals develop a broad range of skills and knowledge, and then develop specializations so they become true experts in one or more areas. We do graphics right. So let's do our last little survey here. In the 2022 U.S. Economic Census of Manufacturing, Printing, and Related Support Activities accounted for $90 billion in annual sales. Which of the following industry was higher in sales? So this is a tricky one here. So which was higher in sales than actual print manufacturing, according to 2022? All right, take your best stab at it, and we'll let you know the right answer here in a moment. All right, so let me share the results with you. This is what you all thought. The correct answer to this, there's only one industry that was higher in sales in 2022, and it was the paper manufacturing industry. All right, so how did you do? Did you do well on all my little quizzes and my little surveys here? All right, so that brings us full circle. It's not enough to be creative. It's not enough to be a designer. You must take that creativity and learn how to apply it to a STEM field, print and graphic media production. If you come to RIT, you're going to learn how to do graphics right, focusing on relevance, insight, graphics, hue, and technology. So in finishing, I'm happy to take some questions. I've also got up here a QR code. If it's not easy to do the QR code, oops, sorry, let me go back. If it's not easy to get to that QR code because you're watching on your phone, you can use tinyurl.com and then do graphics right. We'll take you to this presentation if you wish to download it. I want to thank you for your time today. I'm impressed I made all that in an hour. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to unmute and ask them, or you can certainly throw them in the Q&A. But I thank you for your time, and I hope you come to RIT and study print and graphic media. Any questions? You're welcome, Brian. It's my pleasure. Yes, go ahead.
I was curious, you mentioned earlier about the different file formats.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like when I'm doing stuff on Adobe Illustrator, what the most efficient way to export it as is. What would you use from Adobe Illustrator if you wanted to like make something for an Instagram post or something? What would you usually use for a vector format?
Okay, so if it's for an Instagram post and you want it to remain a vector, then it would be an SVG file. If it doesn't need to be a vector, you can also just export it as a PNG file. Because usually if it's only going to be used for Instagram, like as a 1080 by 1080, then what you're going to probably want to do is keep an original AI file that you've for some future use. But if it's only for 1080 by 1080, just export it out as a PNG. Doesn't need to be a vector.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Yeah, but keep an original, keep a .ai file that you can actually use And that's where we get into, in the professional world, we get into these things that are the digital asset management repositories, where we're keeping originals in some original form that can be used later for some other application. Good question, though.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye. Hope to see you in Rochester.
Have a good day.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Alexander. Was that Alexander that had the question?
Declan.
Oh, Declan. Hi, Declan.
Hello. Came in a
You're
little
not
bit
related
late
to Ian
to the meeting.
Redmond, are you?
No, not.
Okay. Go ahead, Declan.
You mentioned that there's a like if you're studying print and graphics media, is that a specific major at RIT?
That's correct. It's called, so if
Okay.
the bachelor degree program is called, in fact, it's, if you can see right here, the bachelor degree program is print and graphic media technology.
Oh, I see.
And then we have a master's program called print and graphic media science. Correct.
Okay.
And pretty much everything I jammed into 50 minutes is pretty much the whole major that we obviously get into a lot more detail on every bit of that.
Well, quite the interesting presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Thanks. Take care, Declan. Anybody else? I'm happy to.
Thank you for the
Anybody else
presentation.
have? Sure. Go ahead, Catherine.
Oh, I was just saying thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care.
Hi. I just had one quick question.
You bet.
I was just wondering, when it comes to design and advertising, would you say that collecting data of your audience is probably the most ideal starting point of the entire process?
Well, probably if you're doing it for somebody else, step one would probably be really understanding their business and their desires and their customers. If you're doing it for yourself, then yes. If they're your own customers, then yes, that would be your starting point, is really focusing in on who your customers are, both who your current customers are, and then who you want to be your customers.
All right, cool. That makes sense. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Have a nice day.
Take care.
You too.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Have a nice day.